a little discouraged, but I'm optimistic that Coros is going to get me there. All right, I am changing it up, and I'm going to be going with the Coros training program. I had been using Runna on my Cento watch for the last 6 weeks or so. Started at like week 19, week 18 just to give myself a head start, which I'm really glad I did because ultimately this has ended up with me needing to go away from Runna. I am not currently a paid subscriber to Runna, but I have in the past paid for their services. And essentially right now it keeps doing the thing where it won't sync over to Cento's library to be able to put the workouts into the actual watch itself, into the Cento app and or the watch. I'm going back to the Coros ecosystem to be able to set myself up, hopefully better for success with my marathon in October. I'm hoping that it didn't disrupt too much of my training. Obviously, I've still been working out. I was still doing the workouts themselves, but just manually adding them to my watch. It was fine, but I can also do that with pretty much any other training program that I was using. Anyway, I'm going to this Coros 16-week, which I'm pretty sure this is more like a expedited training plan. So I'm not stoked about that. And I'm just pretty discouraged in general. Hopefully that won't set me back too far. But I'm glad I have something that I can rely on and will be loading all my workouts right over to my watch every day. So here's hoping. This update is, I guess, kind of in frustration that I've already had to go through the process to reach out to Runna technical support. And what they did for me was a bunch of syncing and a bunch of resets, and we sent a new version over to you, blah, 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 blah. And ultimately, the only thing that worked was for me to create a new marathon training plan. So I went from my 19 to 18 week training plan that I had been using the entire time to then having to then reset and get a completely new training plan, not even acknowledging the prior workouts I had been doing for the prior weeks before. So it didn't even count any of that stuff. And yeah, that was pretty discouraging to know that basically all the work that I had done before didn't really count toward, obviously it counted physically to what I had been doing and building my base, but it didn't really count as far as the metrics themselves going forward into the new training plan. So, when I had a couple days off, when family visited, I went back and tried to sync the workouts, and they had the old workouts in the Cento app, and nothing from the new week came over. So basically I was just kind of stuck with, well, okay, so does that mean I need to reset my marathon training block again? And I reached out to him. I said the issue's happening again. Took him 4 days to get back to me. And granted, it was over a weekend. Still, it's like, well, my training doesn't stop just because you guys might have working hours. Anyway, so it took them 4 days to get back to me. They tried to resync the stuff on their end. Nothing came over. Nothing got fixed. And in that time, thankfully, I'd already resolved in using the Coros training stuff. But this is a continued frustration that I just want to use Runna. I think that their ecosystem is great. I think that I like the way that they build their training plans. That's awesome. And I wanted to put more time into testing this watch that Cento had sent me. And so that was the advantage there, because Cento doesn't really have any sort of training plans, and I'll talk more about that with the watch review. I could use Training Peaks, I could use other paid subscriptions, whatnot, but ultimately at the end of the day, I wanted to use something that was free. I don't want to pay for that, and that's me. So yeah, I went with Coros because I have the watch and I can easily load in that training plan for my October marathon. Anyway, that's an update from my end on my marathon training block.